to day 4 of how to increase your donor base in 20 days. Today I want to talk with you a little bit about the plan that we talked about on day 1. If you haven't had a chance to go listen to the other 3 videos, check out our YouTube page, subscribe to the channel, and there should be a special category listed with this, and you can go look at every video that we have recorded so far, and hopefully at the end of the 20 days you can watch them all. But today I want to talk a little bit about that plan that I asked you to get together, and part of that plan should be thinking about your 7 donor touches that you're going to have a year. Now, you can have more than 7 donor touches a year, which is fine, but that's sort of the industry average of the number of times that you want to interact with donors throughout the year. That does not mean 7 donor asks. That means everything that you're going to do throughout the course of a year with your donors, you should have at least 7 opportunities to engage them. Now, what kind of donor touches am I talking about, and why would you plan them ahead of time? Well, a lot of them are things that you need to create marketing for, that you need to print labels for, that you need to have a timeline for, and you might want to print lists of donors that you want to engage in certain ways. For example, maybe you're going to send birthday cards to donors or postcards for birthdays. In order to do that, you have to track birthdays. And if you're not currently doing that and that's not a part of your database, it needs to become a part of that. If you are sending anniversary cards for a day they became a member or a day they gave for the first time, maybe you're reminding them of their anniversary and thanking them for that. Maybe you're going to send holiday cards around whatever holidays your organization deems that you would like to celebrate with your community of donors. Maybe you're going to send a special communication to first-time donors. Maybe you're going to send a welcome to our community of donors kit or package to them that includes ways they can get engaged, information about your organization, how their gift is going to be used, maybe a pamphlet or a brochure. In order to do that, you have to plan ahead of time and say, this is how we're going to identify first-time donors. This is the time frame for when that information should go out, and then when your next ask to them might be. Maybe you're going to invite certain donors to a ticketed event and you're going to allow them to come in for free. Well, in order to do that and have an effective event, you first of all need to know who you're going to invite and then be tracking through the course of the year how many people are on that list. How big has that list gotten? Because let's say you have, maybe you're going to invite your 1,000 and over donors to an event that's normally a paid event, but you want to give them a special ticket and let them come for free, right? Well, if you've only scheduled that you're going to have 25 people in that category and all of a sudden you have 40, do you A, have enough space at the event? Can you afford to do that and still make money on your event? Or now do you need to recognize those individuals in a different way? Obviously, one of your donor touches should be a thank you phone call. One of your donor touches should be a handwritten thank you letter. One of your donor touches, depending on the amount of the gift and how your organization chooses to recognize them, will be a tax letter at the beginning of the next fiscal year for donation purposes. Maybe you're going to have an ask or 2 throughout the year. Maybe you send out quarterly newsletters and you know that's going to be an electronic touch. Maybe you schedule a coffee or a dinner or a lunch or a meeting in an office with donors of a certain level or potential new asks or prospects. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that touch. If you're not planning those and you don't at least know when the touches are happening, it's really hard to successfully pull them all off. When I used to be a development director at a particular organization, I had a lot of time during my summer that I could plan the rest of my year. So I spent my summer creating board Christmas cards. I would go to a local discount store that had last year's Christmas cards over the summer, and I would buy them in bulk, and then I would get them all addressed, hand addressed. In fact, I actually had someone do calligraphy for me because those were special donors, and then I would have plenty of time for that person to do the calligraphy. Then I would have plenty of time to get certain staff members to write notes or sign the cards for board members, get them all ready and stuffed in envelopes. And then as Christmas came and Christmas stamps came out, then I could go purchase those and have that one final touch so it doesn't look like it's been processed with everybody else's. So I did that over the summer in preparation for Christmas. Or I would design my Thanksgiving postcards that were going to go out during the summer, and I would go ahead and get them printed. And then all I had to do was put labels on them at the holiday season and put them in the mail. And I had a timeline. I knew when I needed to have them printed and in hand, when I needed to have them labeled, and then I knew the day I was going to send them out in the mail, so they arrived at the appropriate time in the mail. I did the same thing with Christmas cards. I designed those over the summer and then would have things printed. You can do a lot of that kind of stuff ahead of time. I took that time of year to design new thank you cards. So we didn't have the same thank you card every year, and I would spend time designing that and having it printed in various colors and schemes for the other people in the organization who had to use them as well. And then we used those thank you cards for the following year's handwritten thank you notes. So I encourage you to sit down and figure out what are your minimum of 7 touches going to be throughout the year. Now, if you're an organization who sends out a newsletter every month, I wouldn't say that that's all 7 of your touches. That's something that you're doing no matter what, and you still need to have personal touches, because everybody's going to get your newsletter. If they're in your mailing list, they're in your database, you have a way to contact them, whether it's through mailing, snail mail, or whether it's online through a newsletter, they're going to get that. So there's nothing special about that. Like I tell everybody that I ever work with, if you are getting a donation, does not matter how big or small it is worthy of a phone call thank you. If someone gives to you monthly, that does not mean you have to call them every month and tell them thank you every month. You call them the first time they make a gift through the year and you thank them. If it's a new donor, they for sure need to be thanked pretty immediately after their gift, so you can get them feeling like a part of your organization and feeling appreciated and knowing how their dollars are going to be spent. So you need to have a plan for first-time donors. So we're going to talk about some of these things in some of the other videos that we do during this series, but I just wanted to share that with you and get your mind rolling and thinking about, what am I going to do for my 7 touches? How many I've already done? For a lot of people, you're halfway through your year. For a lot of folks, you know, you have 6 more months to make an impact. And for some of you, your new year is getting ready to start. And if that's the case, then you're right on time to sit down and say, okay, we have 12 months ahead of us. What are we going to do to impact our donors? And I encourage you to spend some time with your staff coming up with ideas, maybe asking your board, talk with donors that you already have and say, what are we doing well? What can we do better? Which of these ideas do you feel like would impress you or would make an impact on you, or would you like for us to do? I talk to donors and ask them, do you want a t-shirt with the organization name on it? Do you want a paperweight? Do you want a pin or a sticker or a magnet for your car or a keychain or whatever? And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, a majority of the time, people say no. If you ask them, they don't want you to spend your money on those things. So if those are the kinds of donor touches you have in your head, I would encourage you to spend a little bit of time with your donor base first and find out, what exactly is it that you're coming to me for? Why are you giving? Are you giving in order to get a t-shirt? And if that's the case, then you need to speak very specifically to your donors. And if that's what they're looking for, then you're going to be able to cater to that. There are some organizations that is who their donors, that is what their donors are looking for, and that's why they're giving. But I wouldn't say it's the majority of people. That has not been my experience. So I hope this got your wheels turning a little bit. Join us tomorrow for day 5 of 20 days to a larger donor base. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to type them below. Join us on our Facebook page at Funding for Good. And please feel free to subscribe to the channel here on YouTube so you can continue getting emails in your inbox from us.